flawless. I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special.
I say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, what else do you gotta do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion.
Hey man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So, skillful, yes. But this and this.
Fighters fear Terence Crawford for several insane reasons. Roy Jones Jr. even pointed out that Canelo looked uneasy when standing across from him during their face-off. What makes Crawford intimidating is not just his skill set, but also his calmness while reading every move. He almost never gets hit clean and punishes errors with perfect timing, leaving rivals feeling as though they have no possible.
And that stare down that we talked about when I told you either he's not ready for this or he trying to Bud. He wasn't trying to little boy Bud. He really was afraid, well, not afraid, but he was worried about Bud. And Bud knew that. And Bud being the older guy, Bud kind of looked him in his eye and made him turn away first. That was a victory for Bud. That was Bud's first victory. Anytime that happens, if something else don't come around or something else don't happen to undo that, you got a problem.
Paulie Malignaggi emphasized how Terence Crawford has created one of the most remarkable records in boxing. He became an undisputed champion on 3 occasions, something almost unheard of in modern boxing. And he achieved it by challenging the top names instead of choosing easy fights. What impressed Paulie most was not only Crawford's victories, but also his ability to avoid punishment, barely getting caught clean while dominating opponents. His career tally speaks loudly. 41 wins with 31 knockouts and no defeats. Paulie described this run as historic, adding that Crawford's recent win over Canelo meant more than just another result. To him, it felt like the dawn of a new era, just as Floyd Mayweather once ruled his own.
Flawless. I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special. It's one of those things now, because now I've now seen back-to-back generations of Floyd Mayweather and Bud Crawford, and man, you know, it's one of those things where now I understand why the people that lived in the Ray Leonard era say, you know, wish we could see Ray Leonard against Mayweather, and how that would be, because it just leaves such an empty feeling when you have such special fighters that were in different generations, and you saw both of them. You know, I saw the entirety of the Mayweather generation, I saw the entirety of the Bud Crawford generation. Just incredible, really incredible. And I know Mayweather gets a lot of hate, but for me, he's a tremendous fighter. And Terence Bud Crawford is in that realm as well. And it's a fight we'll never get to see. So what are we gonna do? You know, it'll be up to the fantasy fights. You know, but let's get into it, man. I want to get into the undercard as well and some of my thoughts on the Netflix show. But let's get into the main event first. Crawford really boxed very well, very intelligently. The question mark was what happens when Crawford gets hit cleanly. I'm not sure he got hit cleanly the whole fight. You know, he got hit with some partial shots. Some shots landed cleanly, but by the time Canelo started landing anything cleanly, I think he was hesitant because he was getting countered so much that he was taking some of the steam off the shots in order to hope to be more accurate. Because even late in the fight, there were a couple of shots that Canelo landed, but they barely moved.
Bryan expressed how extraordinary it was watching Terence Crawford against Canelo, noting that he had rarely seen such balance between defense and offense in modern boxing. Typically, a fighter shines in one aspect while leaving the other exposed. But Crawford displayed both with razor sharpness. Against Canelo, he proved he could not only nullify attacks with his compact guard and slick footwork, but also instantly turn to offense and punish every gap. Bryan highlighted that this complete package sets Crawford apart from most champions since he can shut down an opponent's tools while building his own momentum. For him, it was stunning to see a boxer not only evade damage, but dominate a world-class rival with composure and precision.
See, I think that for me, I watch defense as much as I watch offense. So, yeah. Like I thought, like watching Bud catch those shots off his glove.
He looked amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. He'd go to a body and he'd catch that and come up with an uppercut. You know, just all those things that seem.
He looked great.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that to ever.
No one has. Yeah, he's the best.
Canelo.
Yeah, he's the best.
And I think he would do that to Canelo on his best day. Canelo said it. He goes, I couldn't figure him out.
No.
Which is why he probably won't fight him again. In a way.
They'll fight again.
You think so?
The payday, yeah. But so you're gonna get Canelo because the money's in Canelo Crawford, the rematch.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it, but I want Crawford to get paid, so might as well do it.
Andre Ward offered glowing praise for Crawford, calling him the most skillful fighter of his peers. Ward, who was himself a technical master in his time, underlined Crawford's mentality, saying if Terence decides on an objective, he will go to any length to achieve it. According to Ward, the only way to stop a fighter like Crawford is to physically hurt him, because tricks or tactics alone will never be enough. Crawford's adaptability, stance switching, and sharp thinking under pressure place him in the rare class of fighters who can impose their will no matter the situation. Ward's assessment reinforced that Crawford's greatness is no accident. It is built from determination, toughness, and relentless dedication to
Somebody that, like, I can bet the house on is Bud.
Who's the most skilled fighter today?
Bud is definitely one of them, for sure. Me and him, we so much alike in our mentality. Like, soon as I see this dude, he come in the room or I come in the room, we start arguing about basketball, wrestling, anything, bro. Like, man, you can't, man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So, skillful, yes. But this and this, it's different.
Crawford's journey has also been very personal, shaped by his family's influence. He often recalls his father predicting he would one day become an undisputed world champion, planting belief in him from an early age. At the same time, his mother remained doubtful, never entirely convinced he could rise to the top. Instead of discouraging him, that doubt became his driving force. Every time Crawford stepped in the ring, he carried the desire to prove her wrong. Over the years, with every victory and every title, he not only fulfilled his father's vision, but also earned his mother's pride. Today, he reflects on that road with contentment, proud that his success brought both validation and respect from his family.
My dad used to tell my mom I was going to be a world champion.
I told him we would be.
How'd that make you feel? It filled me with rage. And every time I stepped foot in the ring or anything that I ever did, I just wanted to win so bad so I can prove a point to it.
I paid the kids, I said, if y'all can whoop Bud, I give y'all $10 a piece. No.
You went out on the street.
Yeah.
What's now Bud Crawford Street.
Yeah.
And offered $10 to anyone who can kick my son's butt.
Yep.
A lot of takers.
Yeah, the kids in the neighborhood. Couldn't nobody whoop them.
What did he tell you then?
He told you, Mom, I told you I'm the best.
Reflecting on his career choices, Crawford explained he never aimed for undisputed at 154 pounds since he felt there were not enough competitive fights in that class. For him, becoming undisputed is never just about collecting belts, but about doing it against top opposition. Rather than remain at 154, he made the daring choice to chase opportunities at 168, where he believes bigger challenges and stronger names await to cement his legacy further. Crawford's refusal to step down displays his confidence in testing himself at higher divisions, ensuring his career stays defined by risk-taking and ambition instead of comfort and easy paths.
Has being undisputed at 154 ever crossed your mind at this point that you're at in your career?
Not at all, because I'm looking at the landscape of the 154-pound division. There's a lot of great fighters, but there's not a lot of defining fights at 154. There's not a lot of legacy fights at 154. You know, when I'm looking at the landscape of 154, I beat, what's his name?
Majimov? No, 154?
No. The champion that just knocked out Tim Tszyu.
Oh, Bachram.
Yeah. Okay, so Bachram, they're gonna say, who was Bachram?
Facts.
He knocked out Tim Tszyu that already had losses.
What you done with Fedora though?
But Fedora already been knocked out.
Yeah, he did.
So, along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments, just off of pure hate.
Crawford has often taken moments to display the belts he has earned. Not as hollow bragging, but as proof of what years of effort and hard work have produced. Each belt represents more than a victory, it reflects the struggles and sacrifices that came with it. For him, standing with those titles is a reminder to both fans and critics that nothing was ever handed to him. He fought through tough battles, doubters, and challenges to secure every piece of gold on his shoulders. His belts stand as symbols of effort, discipline, and belief in his own ability, while also serving as inspiration for the next generation of fighters hoping to follow his footsteps.
I'm just reflecting on all my accomplishments at my mama's house. That's where all my belts at. You know, hard work, dedication. Things that y'all favorite fighters, some of them, ain't got. So I see why y'all mad. See why y'all mad. Look at that one right there. This is where it all started at. Right here. This one. In Texas. In Texas, baby. Don't hate, just congratulate.
Vergil Ortiz Jr., a rising contender himself, gave Crawford huge credit for his most recent performance, describing it as absolutely beautiful. Ortiz stated that Crawford did enough in that fight to completely prove himself and that he no longer even needs to chase further opponents to validate his greatness. From Ortiz's view, Crawford has already secured his legacy and does not require new challenges to be remembered as one of the best. This admiration coming from a young, ambitious fighter shows how deeply Crawford's dominance has impressed the new generation, leaving them in awe of what he has already accomplished.
Perfect fight, actually. He neutralized all of Canelo's strengths. He knew that he was gonna look for the right hook, because I believe that they've been looking at Crawford being hurt by that right hook before. So he neutralized it. He used his jab really well. He boxed beautifully, and man, I mean, he did everything right. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Crawford first, because obviously we can get to Canelo later, but in the post-fight, they asked him, a media member asked him if he'd come back down to 154 to fight Boots. Obviously, in the same token, I took it as, all right, Boots or Vergil, right? And he said he's not coming back down to 154. What are your thoughts on him not coming down, and what do you think he will more than likely do next?
I don't know what he's gonna do. I did read something that said he'll go down to 160, you know? And I think that is definitely a possibility, and you know, that fight can still happen at 160. And as far as what he's gonna do now, I mean, I don't know. He kind of beat the final boss of the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's kind of nothing. I don't want to say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, I mean, what else do you gotta do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion. He made some good money. At this point, he's just a free player right now, I guess. He can do whatever he.
Crawford's influence on boxing has also created a ripple effect, with fighters from multiple divisions now eager to call him out. Sebastian Fundora, known for his towering height and aggressive style, has already voiced his desire to meet Crawford. This situation reflects what some call the Crawford effect. Once a boxer reaches such dominance, everyone wants to measure themselves against him to gain credibility. Instead of Crawford having to chase fights, opponents are now lining up to face him. It's a complete reversal of roles, highlighting how much power and influence he currently holds within the boxing world.
Effect is in full effect. Okay? It's in full effect. Terence Crawford now is a wanted man. Prior to that, everybody said Terence Crawford is not a draw. Terence Crawford can't sell. Terence Crawford is not a big money fight. Now, we have an interesting situation brewing. The former unified WBA, well, WBO, WBC, junior middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar or star boxer, the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, refused to fight Terence Bud Crawford, who is now, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt, the pound-for-pound king, 5-division world champion, 3-division undisputed world champion, with a record of 42 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 wins by way of knockout. When Terence Crawford dominated and stopped The Truth, Errol Spence Jr., in July of 2023, Terence Crawford petitioned to move up and fight the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, okay? And Sebastian Fundora has zero interest.
O'Shaquie Foster admitted he was impressed by how Crawford silenced so many doubts that followed his career. For years, critics insisted Crawford hadn't fought enough elite opposition or that he might falter against true top-tier competition. Yet his recent victories, especially against Canelo, showed that he could overwhelm even the most established champions. Foster acknowledged that Crawford not only erased those doubts but also raised the bar by proving his worth under the brightest spotlight. To Foster, Crawford's path is a testament to persistence, turning skepticism into undeniable respect.
Yeah, I mean, shit. They definitely doubted, bro. And he told me months ago that he was gonna do that, and he went and did that. That shit, you know what I mean? And they doubted him a lot throughout his career. You know what I mean? Just a lot, and just a lot of people that I look at that's great fighters. They've been doubted. You know what I mean? Same thing with Floyd. They had the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Shane Mosleys, the Trinidad. They all was putting them above Floyd and all this woo-de-woo. You know what I mean? And so I just feel like getting doubted is a great thing. It gives me, you know what I mean, that push. So, yeah.
Do you think it would look that, I ain't gonna call it easy, but I felt like people didn't think that the Crawford would do it that clean. Did that surprise you?
No. It did surprise me that he stayed more disciplined. Like, I thought what was gonna happen was he was gonna do what he was doing, and then, you know, Terence got hard. He trying to bang it out, especially if he feel played enough. He feel like you feel like you doing something. He gonna come with it stuff. So I thought that was gonna be a problem. Like if Canelo landed a punch, he would try to go in the trenches with Canelo, and that's what I would have been scared for him for. But man, that boy stayed sharp all night. Man, that boy looked good. Man, I can't lie, he looked good. Sure, I was definitely surprised at how smooth, how easy he beat him.
Blair Cobbs and Conor Benn shared strong reactions after Crawford's victory over Canelo. Cobbs called it a defining achievement, while Benn went further, suggesting Crawford should retire now, leaving the sport on such a perfect high. Benn's words weren't meant as criticism, but as recognition of how complete Crawford's career already seems. To him, there is nothing left to prove. Crawford could retire today and still be honored as one of the greatest ever. Their comments reflect the belief that Crawford's legacy has already been written boldly, no matter what comes next.
To sail out on that beautiful sunset and retire. He's done a lot for the sport, and there's really not too much else that he can possibly do in the sport of boxing outside of make a beautiful retirement and leave a legacy of fighters that aspire to be just as great as Terence Crawford, like myself.
Has Canelo's legacy been damaged after that or not?
Not really. I think that Canelo is still a terrific and a fantastic athlete that's spent a little bit too much time at the table of boxing, and right now is his time to make his exit.
Not everyone, however, accepts the narrative of invincibility around Crawford. Certain analysts argue that beating Canelo, as monumental as it was, does not automatically mean Crawford is beyond defeat. They stress that the boxing world is filled with other highly skilled fighters who might outclass him under the right conditions. For them, Crawford's triumph is historic but not absolute. Boxing remains unpredictable, and even the best can be tested. This viewpoint reminds fans that while Crawford has climbed incredible heights, the sport always presents new dangers, ensuring the debate over his place in history will continue.
That's not the move. If he goes back down there, he's the best guy in that division. I think it's safe to say that. But I do think that a lot of those guys will give me very interesting and potentially difficult style matchups for him. They'll be more difficult than a Canelo fight. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but just go and look at the fight with Madrimov if you don't believe me. Long story short, beating Canelo Alvarez doesn't mean that Crawford is unstoppable or unbeatable. Yes, he's one of the best fighters of this division, one of the best fighters ever with his achievements, but it doesn't mean he won't lose before the end if he fights the wrong guy. At the very least, it doesn't mean he won't have a harder fight than that Canelo fight. And to finish this video, do I think that he's better than Floyd Mayweather? Do I think now that he would beat Floyd Mayweather if they were to compete at 147? Well, I think Crawford at 147 is the best Terence Crawford in terms of his attributes, his style, and the strength and power he has at the weight. I think he's probably unbeatable at 147 in this era. It's because he's going up the weights now we're even having this conversation, to be honest with you. But I do think he's an all-time great. I do think he's in the conversation, which is the best you can do, because we can't definitively say who beats who in a fantasy match. That's why I really don't like them. I've been asked a few of them recently, and I just, without studying and then without actually getting the chance to see it, I just don't really like going there. But we'll do it at the end of this video anyway. It's definitely a conversation to have whether or not he's better than Floyd Mayweather, because he's done it without these rehydration clauses. He's done it. He hasn't really cherry-picked, although I would say, to be fair, look at Crawford's record. He has fought a lot of guys where it's been the very end of their career at welter. You know, Sean Porter, Amir Khan, Kell Brook. They're all great names, but none of them were in their prime anymore. But Crawford did it so emphatically, and the way he beat Errol Spence as well. Again, he'd had his issues, but again, the way he did it so emphatically, the way he passes the eye test every single time, you have to assume that he's going to do it no matter who he's facing. I do think a fight between him and Mayweather would have been very, very difficult.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Knockout Voyage for more amazing boxing content. Stay tuned for the next big fight.